Hello and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video we're going to be learning how to cut this beautiful waistcoat with shawl collar. So if it's something you would love to learn, please hit on the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. So without further ado, let's jump right into the video. First, we're going to get all the necessary measurements we need for our tutorial. So from the top of the paper here, which is also my shoulder line, I'm going to come down to mark my bust point, which is 10. From my shoulder to my bust is 10. Then from my shoulder to my under bust is 13. I'm going to mark it right here. Then from my shoulder to my waist is 15. Then for the length of the top, I'm going to use the whole length of this paper. I'm still going to add more when cutting on my fabric, and I'll go ahead and extend all the line across. So the next thing is to label the line so that we don't get confused. My bust line, my under bust, and then my waistline. Then this is my top length. Like I said, I will add more later when cutting on my fabric. The next thing is to mark my shoulder. My shoulder is 15 divided by 2 is 7.5. I'm going to mark it right here. On that point, I'm going to come down to mark 1 inch for my shoulder slope. Then I'm going to come here to mark my neck width of 3 inches. I'll mark 3 inches for my neck width. And then I'm going to connect the shoulder slope into the neck this way. Then I'm going to come down to mark my neck depth of 1.5 inch. And I'm going to connect it with my French cup like so. So the next thing is to get my arm length. How to get your arm length? You divide your bust by 6, then add 1.5 inch. Mine is 7. And then I'm going to connect the 2 points together, but then I'll make sure I have the 7.5 I have on the shoulder line to get a straight line. Now I'll connect the 2 points together. Then I will extend the line across like so. Lest I forget, this is the back pattern. We are drafting the back pattern first, alright? So this now become my chest line. So I'm going to come here to mark the midpoint on this line, which is 3.5. Then on that point, I'm going to go in by half an inch. Then I'll come to the chest line and divide my bust circumference by 4, which is 8.5. I'm then going to connect the points together like so. So to create our dart, I'm going to divide my nipple to nipple by 2. My nipple to nipple is 7 divided by 2 is 3.5. But I'm going to mark 4 inches, half inch for seam allowance. And I'm going to mark the 4 inches on all the lines. And I'm going to use my straight rule to connect all the way down. So I'll come to the waistline. I'm going to mark half an inch on both sides of the dart line. Then I'm going to come down by 1 inch for my bust line, and I'm going to connect the point all the way to the waistline this way. And I will come up by 1 inch from the top length, and I'm going to connect it all the way to that point also. So I'll come to the midpoint of this line we marked earlier, and I'm going to connect it all the way to the chest line this way. I will outline it with my marker so that it will be visible for us to see. So after which I'll go ahead and impute my body measurement. My bust divided by 4, I'm going to mark it here on the bust line. Then I'll add 1 inch of seam allowance. So we're not going to impute around that bust because it's a waist coat. I'll do the same thing on the waistline. My waist divided by 4, mark it. Then the 1 inch we took for our dart, I'm going to replace it. Then 1 inch for seam allowance. I'll come to the top line. I'm going to divide my hip here by 4. My hip divided by 4 is 9. I'm going to mark it right here, and then add 1 inch of seam allowance. 1 inch of seam allowance is okay because it's a waistcoat. You don't want to have too much allowance on your waistcoat. It won't be fine. So I'll connect all the points. I'm going to blend this part so it's not too sharp here. Then from my top length, I'm going to come up by 1 inch to give it a nice curve. I'm going to come up by 1, and I'm going to connect it this way. So I want the back to be a bit shorter than the front, so I'm going to mark that 1 inch all the way also, and I'm going to connect it into this part this way, and I'll go ahead and cut it out. So if at this point you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please do well to hit on the subscribe button. Subscription is totally free. Please do me the honor by subscribing to my channel, and most importantly, turn on the notification bell so you can be notified anytime I drop new video. So we are done with the back pattern. We'll go ahead and cut the front now. So as you can see here, we have a line on the front pattern. That line is for our button allowance, so I'll just go ahead and take all the basic measurements we need for the front, just the way we did for the back pattern. So from my shoulder to my underbust, I'm going to mark it. Then from my shoulder to my underbust, though we don't need this because it's a waistcoat, but I'll still mark it. And then from my shoulder to my waist, which is 15, and then I'll go ahead and extend all the lines across. So I'll go ahead and label the lines. This is my bust line, my underbust, my waist, and then my top length. So I'll come to my shoulder line to impute my shoulder measurement, but before you do that, make sure you take all your measurements after the button allowance. So I'm going to come down to mark 1 inch for my shoulder slope. I'll come here to impute my neck width of 3 inches. Then I'm going to connect my shoulder slope into the neck like this. We are practically repeating everything we did on the back pattern. I'm going to come down to mark my neck width of 3 inches, though we are still going to adjust this neck later, and I'm going to connect it this way. Then I'm going to come down to mark my arm length, and I'm going to connect it this way. This is my chest line, my bust line, my underbust, my waist, and my top length, and here is my button allowance. So I'm going to come to this line here, mark the midpoint. We are literally repeating what we did on the back pattern. I'm going to go in by 1/2 inch here. I'll come to the chest line. I will divide my bust by 4. I'm going to mark it right here on the chest line, and I'm going to connect all these points together just the way we did on the back pattern. So to create my dart, I'm going to divide my nipple to nipple by 2, which is 3.5 plus 1/2 inch of an allowance. That makes it 4 inches. I'm going to mark it on all the lines just the way we did on the back pattern, and I'm going to connect all the points together with my straight rule like so. So I'm going to come to the waistline here, mark 1/2 inch on both sides of the dart line, and I'm going to come down by 1 inch from the bust line, and I'm going to connect all the way to that point on the waistline. Before you connect it down, please come up by 1 inch from the top length, just the way we did on the back pattern. I forgot and I connected it all the way down. So I'm going to come here to mark the midpoint of this line, which is 3.5 here, and I'm going to connect it all the way to the chest line this way. I'll just outline the line so that it will be visible. Then on this line, I'm going to mark 1/2 inch on both sides. Mark 1/2 inch on both sides of this line, and I'm going to connect it all the way like so. I'll just outline it with my marker so that it's visible. I'll blend the line. So this 1 inch we took for our dart here, I'm going to replace it here so that we don't have shortage of fabric when we are sewing. Replace the 1 inch, and then I'm going to extend this line all the way to that point I just marked. So we are going to create a new armhole from that point all the way to the chest line. So this is our new armhole. So I'll go ahead and impute my body measurement. We've already marked our bust line on the chest line. So this 1 inch we took for our dart here, I'm going to replace it on the chest line here. Then I'm going to add 1 inch of seam allowance. I'll come to the waist line, divide my waist by 4, then the 1 inch we took for our dart, I'll replace it, and then 1 inch of seam allowance. I'll come to the top length, divide my hip by 4, and then add 1 inch of seam allowance, and I'm going to connect all the points together. So I'm going to blend this part so that it's not too sharp. Then from the top length, I'm going to come up by 1 inch to give it a nice curve and connect it all the way this way. Then I'll come down by 1/2 inch from the chest line. I will extend the line outside this way so that we know where we are connecting from. Then from the neck width, I'm going to connect slantly all the way to this point like this. So the next thing is to create our collar. You can see that I added another paper. To do that, I'm going to measure my neck for the back. Measure your back neck this way. I had 3.5. So on this point, I'm going to go up by 3.5 inches here. and I'm going to extend that neck width all the way to that point I just marked, like this. To make our collar last wear, I'm going to mark half an inch outward from this line this way, then I'm going to connect it all the way into this line, like so. Then from the new line we just marked now, I'm going to mark 3 inches inward. You can decide to use 3.5, 3 inches, it depends on how wide you want your collar to be. And I'm going to connect the 2 points together like this. Then I'm going to take that line all the way to the neck depth. So use your free hand to do that. Make sure your hand is straight. You take it all the way to this point like this. So our collar is ready. This is where our button is going to be, you can see here. So I'll go ahead and cut it. We are done with the front pattern, and I hope you find this video helpful and easy. And if you did, please do well to like this video, leave a comment, subscribe if you have not done that, and share these videos with others. And I also have other tutorials on my channel, like how to draft a basic body. As a beginner in this business, you must learn how to draft a basic bodies and how to sew a basic body. It is a foundation for sewing, and you must learn how to do that for you to know how to sew. So do well to check my other videos on my channel. I have a lot of tutorial there. So thank you so much for doing that. So we've come to the end of today's tutorial. This is the front pattern, as you can see here, and this is the back pattern. So thank you so much for staying tuned. See you in my next video. Bye.